everyone, Chris here, and welcome to my channel. For today's 5 on Friday, I'm going to recommend 5 middle grade mysteries. First up is Winter House by Ben Gutterson. It's Christmas break, and Elizabeth Summer, who lives with her aunt and uncle, is sent to the Winter House Hotel for the break as her aunt and uncle are on a trip. Once there, she's excited to be there, as it looks like it's going to be a more enjoyable time than if she had stayed at home. She really loves the huge library and spends lots of time in there. While there, she finds a puzzle book that leads her to realize there's a mystery surrounding the hotel's owner, Norbridge, and his family. Loving puzzles, she ends up diving into the mystery. During her research, she finds out that she may somehow be connected to this mystery and that it is far more dangerous than it seems. I thought this was a brilliant start to this series. I really enjoyed getting to see Elizabeth meet the people at the hotel and develop relationships with them. I really liked the puzzle aspect to this mystery. I thought it was fun to try to follow along and figure things out with Elizabeth. I also really love the illustrations in this book and thought they added a lot to the story. Mainly though, like I said, I really enjoyed getting to follow along with Elizabeth as she figured out what was going on at the hotel. The second book I'm going to talk to you about is Escape from Mr. Lemoncello's Library by Chris Grabenstein. In this book we follow Kyle, who is super into games. Board games, word games, video games, he loves them all. Mr. Lemoncello is the biggest name in the world of games and is behind rebuilding the library in Kyle's town. To celebrate the grand opening, Mr. Lemoncello sets up a contest and Kyle is one of the lucky winners who gets to spend the night in the library on the eve of its grand opening. He goes to the library for a night of fun and games, but in the morning finds out there's more to it than that. He and his fellow winners are locked inside the library and must figure out the clues to try and escape. I thought this was such a cool premise for a book. I love the idea of having this really super cool technology advanced library. I love the idea of getting to spend the night in there and getting to have a sneak peek at all of the upgrades that have been made to this library. I like the mystery aspect of trying to figure out how to get out of the building and why Mr. Lemoncello had even locked them in there. I liked getting to see how they had to use the library and its assets to figure out the clues. I also liked that it incorporated Kyle's love of board games, word games, and video games. It was quite interesting to see him puzzle through these clues, and having a lot of the clues have to do with books in general, as I love books and I love books that talk about other books. Book number 3 is Green Glass House by Kate Milford. In this book, we follow Milo, who lives at Green Glass House, which is a smuggler's inn. He is looking forward to Christmas break, as it means time away from school and time with his family, as they're usually very busy taking care of the people staying at the inn, and over Christmas break, it's usually pretty quiet. This year, though, people keep showing up. Each guest has a strange story of how they're connected to the inn. When objects start to go missing and the guest tempers flare, Milo decides that he has to get to the bottom of where the items have gone. So I really enjoyed this book. I loved the Christmassy vibes too. That was a really nice touch, as I love reading Christmassy books at Christmas time. So that is the perfect time of year to read that book. I liked getting to see Milo's frustration that these people kept showing up. It's his parents' business and it's, the way they make money and put food on the table and stuff, and he understands that, but at the same time he was looking forward to a quiet, chill Christmas break with his family, and he's not getting that. But I also really enjoyed getting to see him kind of be won over by the mystery and the curious behaviors of the guests. He teams up with a girl named Meddy to figure out what is going on, and they play a Dungeons and Dragons style game where they kind of create characters, and each of these characters have special abilities, and they use those characters to get to the bottom of things. And I thought that was an interesting way to go about discovering clues. I also thought this book had some very interesting twists at the end that I never saw coming. The fourth book is The Mystery of the Clockwork Sparrow by Catherine Woodfind. This is a historical fiction mystery. In this book, we follow Sophie, who is one of the employees at Sinclair's department store, which is getting ready for its grand opening. The day before the opening, one of the items on display in an exhibit in the store, a Clockwork Sparrow, which is worth a lot of money, is stolen. Unfortunately for Sophie, she was one of the last people seen near the exhibit and has become one of the prime suspects. With the help of some new friends, Sophie must find the real culprit and clear her name. I really like the historical fiction aspect to this. I think it gives it a bit of a different vibe. It also makes it a little bit more tricky for Sophie, as she is a young teen who has no family and is really depending on this job, and suspicions being cast on her makes life extra difficult for her given the time period this book takes place. I enjoyed getting to see Sophie develop her friendships and learn to trust her new friends, and how each of them was integral in figuring out what had actually happened to the Clockwork Sparrow. I also thought the department store was an interesting backdrop, as there was a lot of side characters you could add just by having it be set in this department store. I really do think this is a good start to a middle grade historical fiction. Book 5 is The Eureka Key by Sarah L. Thompson. This is an adventure mystery. So in this book, we follow Sam, who loves to do puzzles, and he enters a contest in which the grand prize is a trip across the United States for the summer, and he wins. Once there, he meets a history buff named Martina and another kid named Theo. The three of them soon realize this is no ordinary trip. They end up on a quest looking for keys that were hidden by the Founding Fathers. These keys unlock a secret weapon that was invented by Benjamin Franklin to defend the country. Unfortunately, they aren't the only ones going after these keys. A descendant of Benedict Arnold is also trying to find the keys, but he wants the weapon for nefarious purposes. Sam, Martina, and Theo must solve all sorts of puzzles and clues to figure out where these keys are and try to stay one step ahead of Arnold's descendant and try to keep the weapon safe. So this one definitely leans heavy on the adventure, because obviously they're trying to track down these clues while being chased by these people whose motives aren't exactly clear. They have no idea where these keys came from or why they are needed or what this weapon actually does. I thought it was quite interesting seeing how they each had to play to their strengths, as they were all very different. It was also interesting as they didn't exactly get along at first, so it was more, once they were in the thick of it, they had no choice but to rely on each other. I think this was a good start to the series and leaves lots of potential for where the series could go from here. So those are 5 middle grade mysteries that I would recommend. Do you have any recommendations for middle grade mysteries? If so, leave them in the comment section below. If you've made it this far in the video, leave me a magnifying glass emoji. Like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!